Hi. So, a Gibson ES-125. This is a 1959 Gibson ES-125, and this is where a lot of people start their journey into vintage guitars. First, it was the lower end of the guitar line, so the Gibson never, in the old days, didn't make cheap stuff. They only made high quality, the factory only put out high quality pro gear stuff. They did address the low end of the market, the student end of the market, with guitars that were fairly simple. And this ES-125 was $125. Back when a Super 400 was $400, 4 times the money. Their most expensive guitar. 59 has kind of a famous neck because of the 59 burst, the Les Paul standards of the day, and like the Les Paul standard that we had just recently, the 59 burst that we sold to Joe Walsh, or back to Joe Walsh, this has kind of a similar neck. It's a bit of a V back here, and then it flattens out quite a bit into here, so it's pretty rounded when you're starting to reach, but you can kind of plant your thumb back behind the V, and it's a pretty big, significant neck. It's also bigger frets. Before this, before 57, they came with smaller frets, so those ES-125s tend to go for a little less money. Getting something that's been refretted is not that big a deal, but caretaking. This is the thing. You don't really own one of these. You're actually taking care of the guitar for the next owner. And this guitar might have had 10 owners previously in its 64 years here. So looking at it through this lens too, when you're trying to buy stuff, you're looking to own one for a while. You're not necessarily buying it because eventually it's going to go to another owner. So you are now the caretaker. Back in the day, back before I started Willie's, about the time I started Willie's, you could buy these used for $200-300 pretty consistently. And back then, $200-300 is probably like $900 today. This is Gibson always, it's a laminated body, laminated top, arch top. You can see it looks like a cello. And that's kind of where Gibson came from. Gibson wasn't famous for their flat tops like Martin. Gibson was famous for their more traditional manufacturing, the more cello type guitars with its arch top and its arched back. And they press this in. You an arch top, you either carve the top or you press it into a mold. Gibson made their own plywood for it. So they laminated wood, but they had a special process that they used. It was always high quality, under their care, aged wood that they would slice and laminate inside their own factory. With a laminated top, it adds its strength, so you can put heavy strings on it, and it also keeps it from cracking and keeps it from feeding back. So, Brazilian rosewood bridge, Brazilian rosewood fingerboard, 1P90. Now the bridge on these is a wooden bridge. If you keep it like this, you want to make sure you have a wound G. This works fantastic with a wound G. When this was new, they put 12 gauge wound G strings on top of it, so you could play it without an amplifier. So this is really a remarkable acoustic guitar. This is why guys buy these, is because you can sit it in your lap. And jam without an amplifier. That's why guys gravitate to these. They're also very cool, clean guitars for doing jazz. You can these will clean up really well. Now I'm going through a 1953 Gibson GA40. This was the Les Paul amplifier. And this one is pretty chewed up, probably from mice in the garage. We ran this through the shop. An amp like this is about $1,500, and it's been completely serviced. So we know this is a healthy amplifier. It has foot switchable tremolo. This was kind of Gibson's top of the line. This was their answer to Fender, frankly. A good professional grade all tube amplifier. Of course it's all tube, it's all 50s. And these amplifiers will also break up, and I'm going to hurt your microphone here a little bit. we go, a 1959 Gibson ES-125, and remember, you're not just buying something like this, you are taking care of it. You have to look at it through the lens like that you're kind of taking care of it. This guitar has its original bridge, the tailpiece has been replaced, original pots, original knobs, original pickguard bracket, original tuners. It's in really good shape. And the other thing about looking at an old guitar like this is just to read what it's been through. You can actually see it's well taken care of. The edges are all yellowed, and you can tell the whole guitar is actually yellowed. It's got a very nice glow to it. Somebody added a strap button. You're welcome. It's never had a headstock break. It has the original nickel cloisons. This model then would have the white tips on it. But you can kind of see its history if you look at it. This one hasn't seen any abuse. There's just a few ding scratches. The natural lacquer is opened up a little bit, and there you go. A 1959 Gibson ES-125. They couldn't make them for this price, which is under $3,000 anymore, with using a Brazilian rosewood board and a Brazilian bridge. This just could not yet be replicated. So this is well underneath its intrinsic value. What would it cost to make it? A lot of vintage things are above their intrinsic value of what it would cost to make it. This is below what it would cost to make it in its price. It makes it just a screaming deal, and it's fun. There you go. Now that's all.
Hey, how's it going today? Today we're going to discuss archtop guitars with the floating bridge. So this one we just put a new set of strings on, and the thing with the floating bridge, it's not secured to the top. What happens if it shifts while you're stringing? Quick and easy way to test this: tune your outer strings to E, and you check your intonation. The harmonic to the fretted note, and that's very sharp. And we're going to check the low side as well. And that's also sharp. What that's going to tell us is the 12th fret's the halfway point in the string. That's why we're checking at the 12th fret. When it's sharp, we need to move the whole bridge back. If it turns out flat in comparison, we move the bridge forward. In this case, it was sharp, so we want to go back. So you're going to loosen your strings a little bit with both hands. Move it back slightly. Check your focus to the fretboard and retune. We're going to check the intonation again. Just about right on. That's about where we want it. Continue to string it back up to pitch. Check it again. You might need to minorly move it one way or the other. That's the gist of setting the intonation on an archtop guitar with the floating bridge.